In order to save his beloved metropolis from the Bizarro plague, the Man of Steel will be forced to join forces with the last sane man on Earth, the Joker. What'll happen next? Well, it's hop into the pages of Action Comics issue number 1063, the grand finale of this Jason Aaron mini, and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as we open up with this issue, we are inside Superman's own personal mind palace. It's like Sherlock or Inception, take your pick, honestly. Why does the inside of Superman's mind look like Metropolis? Well, as he puts it, Metropolis is his beat. The whole world is his beat, really, and like any good defender of the peace, Superman has committed every single inch of his beat to memory. Unfortunately, there's no one inside his mind palace right now, not the least of which the one he's after, Bizarro. Only as Bizarro Joker, aka the last sane man on Earth, explains to the Man of Steel, just because he cannot see Bizarro doesn't mean he's there, it just means that he's very, very small. Clark had been hearing Bizarro's voice in his mind ever since his magical ritual ended up completely inverting the world. It looked like the original Bizarro of Bizarro World had completely disappeared, but in reality a small piece of him had embedded inside the Man of Steel's mind like a piece of psychic shrapnel. And even though this piece of Bizarro is small, it still possesses all the magical might that Bizarro was able to capture before he seemingly disappeared into nothingness, meaning Superman has an uphill battle. And not just inside the mind either, as outside the mind the situation is quickly deteriorating too, as we see a bunch of the Bizarro-ized people are starting to flock to where Superman and the Joker are currently working. It's like something out of a zombie movie, and the crowd only gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. And speaking of growing, every time Bizarro actually hits Superman inside of his own mind, he gets bigger. They explain this away as basically the walls of Superman's psyche are actively breaking down. Basically, it means if Superman doesn't win this fight, and soon he's basically going to end up giving himself a whole lobotomy. Superman and Bizarro knock themselves around the mindscape a little bit, and Clark notes that perhaps one of the most scary parts of this is that Bizarro is actually quiet for the first time since all of this started. Wherein before he was really berating and belittling Superman, trying to get under his skin and try to get him to understand what it feels like to be so wrong, so hated, to be such an outsider. Now, outside the mind, sane Joker has managed to put Superman in the back of an ice cream truck and tries to drive him all the way back to Metropolis, figuring that, hey, if this is really going to be the end of everything, Clark would probably like to be there. It also gives them an opportunity to recreate this one panel that totally reminds me of the first episode of The Walking Dead. Only in this case, it's the walking Bizarro. Now, back inside the mind's eye, the battle only continues to escalate and get bigger and bigger. Superman and Bizarro's fight is taken out into space, wherein we see that Earth is no longer a globe, but actually a square. Hey, look, I'm just saying there's probably a conspiracy theory community out there for this somewhere. I mean, there's one for everything else, so why shouldn't there be Square Earth? It's the hot new thing. The battle ends up quickly turning against Clark as a more powerful Bizarro starts exerting more control over his body. Clark is resolute as ever, though, not to give up, meaning that Bizarro has no choice but to try and kill Superman. Which, because this is the mindscape, he can do over and over and over again. Apparently, by the time everything is said and done, Bizarro has actually killed Superman over 90 times. Hell, as one final grim exclamation point, Bizarro even blows up the mindscape's sun, cutting Superman off from all of his power. Also, if Bizarro is technically the opposite of Superman in every way, shape, and form, would no sun actually make him stronger? Or is it only red sun that should make him stronger? Something to think about. With Superman seemingly vanquished for real this time, Bizarro manages to completely reach inside his body and assume full control. And with the world having gone completely topsy-turvy and no one left to protect him, Bizarro ends up turning his rage towards Bizarro Joker, as he puts it, his most favorite Bizarro there is. And honestly, it's right here where the story that's had a couple cracks starting to form really ends up jumping the shark for me. You see, Bizarro Joker, who is every bit as kind, sensitive, and sane as the Joker is cruel, evil, and insane, launches into a speech that is apparently so powerful and so resonating in its logic, it literally manages to bring Bizarro to his very knees and send him into a state of metaphysical crisis. No, we don't actually get to hear what this speech is at all. We just know that apparently it was so amazing and so powerful it actually manages to reach past Bizarro and find Clark, who was buried inside Bizarro's subconscious, much like how Bizarro was buried inside Clark's subconscious. It seems that maybe this was always actually Superman's plan to get sucked into Bizarro's mind so that he could actually read his memories and in doing so find the secrets to the magical ritual that he cast and learn how to reverse it. Now I know what you're thinking, okay, learning the secrets of the spell is one thing, but casting it is another. Superman is still Superman and magic still is one of the few things that actually hurts him. How does he do this without killing himself? Well, the answer is he just kind of does. Superman is able to cast the spell and ends up turning the world back to normal. Sadly, this also means that Bizarro Joker is forced to return to his old evil villainous ways. Though, apparently before disappearing back into the ether, the Clown Prince of Crime leaves a funny little message for the Man of Steel wherein he says, "Better to be insane in Gotham than sane in Metropolis." Now overall, this is kind of a downer ending, isn't it? Bizarro is actually gone, fully destroyed, isn't he? Well, no, he still exists as a small psychic echo within the mind of Superman himself. It just looks like he's going to be staying there for the time being as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Action Comics issue number 1063, everyone, and overall I thought this one was actually a bit of a disappointing finale. Superman vs. Bizarro inside the mind's eye wasn't anywhere near as creative or inventive as I hoped it would be. They just kind of punch each other all over the world and in space, which is something they could have done outside the mind. I don't know why doing it inside the mind made it any more compelling. Also, the first 3 issues in this series actually did a really good job building up Bizarro as this sympathetic character. You felt bad for him because the world rejected him and he, because of crises, now no longer has a world of his own to return to. I had assumed Superman being Superman, he would try and help him work through these problems, but he just doesn't. In fact, Bizarro basically says nothing in this whole big finale, which is really unfortunate. And then, of course, we have Bizarro Joker, the sanest man on Earth, the character that it feels like Jason Aaron was actually the most interested in writing, and yes, there's some good bits to be had with him. He's shockingly upbeat and chipper despite the fact that the world is literally ending all around him, and I do genuinely feel kind of bad for him when he knows that the only way the world can be saved is if it means he also goes back to how he used to be. But having him save the world with the power of a speech, I just couldn't help but roll my eyes a little bit on that one once I figured out they were being 100% serious and there wasn't anything else under that or after that. As far as things I did like about this issue, there were some pretty nice actual pages. Here's Superman seeing Square Earth for the first time, the Bizarro people acting like zombies, and chasing our heroes all the way back from Gotham to Metropolis. That's good stuff. Likewise, Superman slowly turning into Bizarro like he was a werewolf. I liked all of that too. The rest of it, though, left a little to be desired. I'm also not really in love with the ending, too, that Bizarro is now basically just trapped inside Superman's head now for the time being. What a sad way to end his story, and not sad in like an emotionally effective kind of sad, but a sad in like, oh really, that's it kind of way. Overall, I think I'd only feel comfortable giving this one a 6 out of 10, which is a shame because I really loved this one when it started, and I really hope it could have stuck the landing. For what it's worth, though, next up we have Joshua Williamson writing his own special guest arc, and it's all meant to get us up to speed on House of Brainiac, the next big Superman crossover event, so you know that should be pretty good.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.